Hello, geoscience instructors. This is Bryce Henderson from Wichita Falls ISD. I've been teaching this course for many years, and so I'm recording this video to help introduce you to Google Sheets and show you some of the basics for navigating a Google Sheet spreadsheet as well as using it to do graphing. And so to begin, you've already watched hopefully the Introduction to Google Sheets video from Google itself to kind of talk about the collaborative nature of this program and how you can navigate. But I'm going to show some actual practical steps for how to do things like enter data, how to manipulate data, as well as how to insert basic graphs and share data, which students will be doing often throughout this course. So to begin, just to set kind of some ground rules, the cells are each individual box, and you can see them labeled with both columns, A, B, C, D, and then rows, which are numbered rows. So when in a spreadsheet lab, it references entering something into cell A1, you can see where A and 1 intersect, and that would be this cell right here. So perhaps I would be entering something like date right there. And then maybe over here, I would be putting in B2 something like temperature, maybe in Fahrenheit. I'm just making things up for this, but you can see that entering things into each individual cell is very easy. You can either click into the cell, or once you select a cell, you can use the function bar to type something in, and it will show up into the box there, as you can see. So to kind of give you a little bit of overview, I have some sample data that I'm going to just paste in here that I took from a basic physics lab that I do, which is showing students the difference between diameter and circumference. As you might know, diameter and circumference are related by pi. And so this just shows some basic objects, the diameters, which I measured off of each object, and then the circumference, which can be found by wrapping a string around each object and then laying it along a ruler. And so this is all real lab data, similar maybe to what students might use in a very basic lab activity. And so I wanted to use something really simple in order to show how to insert graphs and how to do some things like that. So you'll notice that first thing is my spreadsheet's still untitled. So maybe for this lab, I would title it something like Circumference Lab, and then maybe my name. It's always a good to model for students, proper naming. And then another good thing to do is eventually when students do share their spreadsheet, they can share it as a PDF or as a link. And so it might not be a bad idea to just get students into the habit of changing their sharing options from private to either anyone on the web can view by clicking here and changing it to anyone with the link can view, or they can also go to file and then eventually download as a PDF. And that would be really towards the end so that they can capture everything in one shot and then they can submit that PDF as a finished product. But we wouldn't want to do that yet because we don't have our graphs and everything done. And so that would really be more later on in this process. So as far as some basics for Google Sheets, it's helpful to show some of these things for students early on, especially as they're learning the program. And many of the early lab activities will show things like how to make a graph. But just to kind of go through it, when you're selecting data, if you click and hold your mouse, you'll see that you're able to select multiple cells of data. Alternatively, you can click on a column to select the entire column. So you can see when I click on B there, it selects everything in column B. And if I click on column C, it will select that column. But if I want to click both columns, I can press and hold Control on my keyboard, and then I can click on C, and then you can see that it will select both of those. Alternatively, I could just click and hold my mouse and move over, and then I could select both of the columns there. This is nice because in Google Sheets, whatever's in your leftmost column, the spreadsheet will automatically put onto the x-axis whenever you create a graph. And so if I wanted to insert a graph here, I would select my data, which you can see I've done there. Then I would go to Insert and Chart. And when I click on that, it will generate a chart for me. And Google Sheets is usually pretty good about thinking in terms of which chart I'm wanting to actually make. You can see here that it auto-selected a scatter chart, which is not a bad idea. If I did want to change that to something else, I could scroll down to a line graph. I can make a bar chart, a pie chart for certain labs might be a good idea, or lots of other things. But for this, actually, I think scatter plot's going to be fine. And so I'm just going to leave it on that. And you can see automatically it pulled on my x-axis the diameter data, which is my leftmost column. Circumference is on the y-axis here. And so really everything's pretty good. The only thing I might want to do is change my x-axis. You can see that currently it starts at 6, and there's a little bit of data that's kind of off screen. So on the setup feature, you can change the chart type. You can select which data is appearing on your chart, or on the customize option, you have lots of things you can do. Under chart and axis titles, I can go down and I can change the chart title. You can see by default it's circumference versus diameter, which is a fine title for me. If I change that though to horizontal axis title, if I wanted to change this from diameter to something else, I can do that here. Or you can show students that just by double clicking on the actual axis label itself, you can change it right there on the graph. But that's not what I'm really wanting to change. I'm interested in changing the horizontal axis. And so by changing the horizontal axis here, giving it a minimum value of 0, pressing enter, you can see that now it's squared my origin here at 0, 0. And then if I want to check or uncheck this, depending on if there's still data missing, then I can check that and it would hopefully move everything over. So this is looking a lot better. The only other thing that students will do often in labs is add a trend line. And so if I come in here to the series